What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Jiu Jitsu Junction podcast. My name is Andre, and I'm here with my buddy Chase. And the main topic today is how we can become the most competent Jiu Jitsu martial artist that we can be. And the title is going to be something like Pillars of a Competent Jiu Jitsu Martial Artist. And there's a lot that goes into becoming good at a complicated skill, especially one that's in the physical world as well as the mental one. So we're going to break it down. We're going to kind of categorize it in little groups here. And the first one that's probably the easiest to initially talk about is the physical pillars. And by the physical pillars, we mean like fitness, strength, mobility, flexibility, but that's almost a mobility thing, right?
Yeah. You have to be able to do the things. You know, it's like one of my biggest pet peeves as a youth instructor is seeing those instructors that, you know, they had to get a belt size 3 sizes bigger than their gis to go around their belly, you know, and it's like there's not really, as a martial artist, like you're not setting a good example, you know, like to set a good example, you have to meet those physical pillars, like you have to, you can't, and I don't mean like obviously there are handicaps out there. There are people that, and there are super special people out there that, you know, amputees and stuff that roll. I don't mean physical like that. I mean like, but they're still in shape. You know, they still work out. I bet their workouts are just as crazy. You know, so those things are super high on the list. Like, my favorite thing is when I played college football. We had 150 guys on the roster. Went to Newberry College. 75 guys got to see the field. 75 just saved the school from going under. But it was funny because you would have those 75 that never touched the field. They would tell people that they played college football. They played for Newberry, you know. And it's like, man, it was almost, come on, man, don't tell people you're not in shape, not, you know, just sloppy looking individuals. And it's like, you know that's some of the first checks. Like, you're going to let people know you do jiu-jitsu. Like, make sure you're taking care of those things.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I am on the less in shape end, so I'm gonna get defensive here. Just kidding. Really, ultimately, we're talking about at least meeting a minimum standard. You don't, if you're not like trying to become a professional jiu-jitsu guy, or girl, which is freaking most of us, right? You don't have to be like broided to the gills and looking like Gordon Ryan when he's on his special medicine.
It's for recovery.
It's for recovery, yes. Recovery from the insane weight. Anyway, so like you don't have to be that, but you should at least get to dad bod status instead of obese. You know.
Would it really be like an actual like a level of fitness, or would it be just, man, to be a competent BJJ martial artist, like you just need to be moving in the right direction. You know, like you can't say I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 5 years and I've gained 80 pounds.
I mean, you can.
I guess so.
You can say that.
But then I wouldn't be you know, you're being a martial artist isn't, you're kind of just doing that on the side. Like, we're talking about doing BJJ with the outlook and with the viewpoint of being a martial artist, right? And on top of that, being a competent martial artist. And competent would be somebody that people could ask questions, right? That people would listen to. You know, you got to at least be moving in a direction that is progress and not regress, right?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to be said about momentum and being on the right trajectory.
Because I don't want it to sound like if you're big and no. As long as you're, because you could be. I've seen the guys that come in to 280s that when they're done they're 175 pounds. You know, 3 years into jiu-jitsu, but it's just the journey, right? As long as that's the martial arts journey. That's being the martial artist.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a part of like the path, right? And how far you take it is kind of up to you.
Yeah.
But it depends upon what your goals are for the sport. If you're just trying to be like if you're like me and you want to be good, but you're not really planning to like do a lot of hard competitions. You just want to be doing something that your kid might be
He
doing
didn't
with
say
you.
no competitions. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'll do some.
I know.
I'll do
I'm
some.
excited. No, just,
Yeah.
I
While
just-
I'm still wearing blue, I'll do it.
understood completely.
Yeah. So, like you have to be intentional about it. Choose your end point. Make sure that it's not like embarrassing to say that, oh, I've been doing martial arts for 5 years, and then you're like walking around and huffing just from walking. Which
it's also going to protect, like, on top of that, it's also like having these physical pillars in place. Like, it helps you, not just growth and all that, but like even protecting you from getting injured, right? Like,
it protects you from injury. There's some pretty wacky statistics on mortality rates, even for and it's not tied to like being fat the same way that it is tied. Like, don't get me wrong, don't be fat, but like lifting weights and having cardiovascular conditioning change your mortality rate by like 180%.
right? Yeah.
And 140%, and that was like controlled for all of the body fat percentages. And I was like, well, there's my justification for crushing a box of Krispy Kremes because I'm still getting my workouts in. But I mean, don't be like me, be like him. Anyway,
Well, I just want to make sure we're working in the right, like, to be a competent martial artist, like you've got to be competent of your situation. Like, hey, I am. If it's the physical pillars aren't there, like, hey, I'm not as strong as I need to be. I don't have to be, again, go the Gordon Ryan, but I'm not as strong as I need to be to, efficiently to play jiu-jitsu, even if it's just in a class, or, I'm not mobile enough. We have some guys that they've had to work on some shoulder mobility. Maybe it's from previous injuries or, in their younger days, but it's like, man, if it's something that hinders you, and that's part of being the competent martial artist, and that's rounding yourself out and working on things you need to work on. So,
okay, so my hobbyist point of view here for the physical pillars, you need to be able to handle being able to move constantly, be strong enough to deal with people that are in your weight category, and be mobile enough to not get injured. Like those are the real goals for me here, and
be mobile enough to not get injured. That's a big one.
Yeah. So if you're hitting all of those things, then that's probably enough for you to focus on some of the other stuff that we actually like to think about, especially in jiu-jitsu. We hate talking about fitness, strength, and mobility, size. Like, oh, no, that's not relevant.
It happens in practice, right? I don't need to lift weights.
Super, super relevant. But you just have to hit a good spot for each of those things. And if you want to take it further into being like a competitor, or you want to take it, you're going to do mixed martial arts or something, then you have to max out your physicality.
Yeah.
But if you're just like a dad like me that's just like enjoying learning something with his son, then maybe you just take it to where you're fit enough to keep moving, you're strong enough to hold your own, and you're mobile enough to not get hurt. Yeah. So the next little grouping of pillars is under skill development. And skill development isn't just knowing how to do techniques or when to do techniques. It's also developing awareness and like experience-based wisdom of the situations. Yeah. So do you want to start us off with like...
Yeah, I really... I like, in my head, it's like if you're going to be if you're going to do jiu-jitsu, the benefits of jiu-jitsu in general, if you, from a martial artist viewpoint with growth in mind, it's like these things are no-brainers. Like the awareness and the experience gained around techniques that you're working on, that the competency that comes with that. This is where you really kind of, I believe, one of the places, and obviously the next one we'll talk about is mental, but, skill development, this is one of the places where you really shine. You can tell the people that kind of do it just to do it, and the people that are like martial artists that are like really trying to still it, really chasing mastery. They just understand things differently, and their awareness of their body is special.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, so like we got hard skills in the skill development. We got hard skills. Those are like executing techniques, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? We go down all the steps. We have mastery over each of the steps. That's like the hard skills, and then the soft skills, which are, in my opinion, more important. And people will probably disagree with me there. Of awareness of the situation and like being able to make decisions based off of wisdom, based on experience. Those are what make the martial artist to me.
Period. Yeah. No question. That's the magic of jiu-jitsu. That's definitely the magic. I coach, obviously my main focus most of the time is kids and beginners. And I see it a lot. Kids will have this array of techniques already, but they don't have the awareness and the experience yet. So like when they get to that point and it's like, man, I can't get them. They're learning so many techniques that they don't have the awareness and the experience. So I'm trying to find ways to put it in, in there. It's just mad time. It's just that experience that gives them that awareness, and that's what separates. Because they have a plethora of techniques. Their techniques won't get much better over the next couple of years. What will get better is their awareness and their experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's this white belt does not go to our gym that knows so many techniques. So many techniques. Still a white belt. Probably 5 years white belt, 6 years white belt. And you don't want to be that person, right? Like, it's funny because they could be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they could even probably demonstrate it. And it's kind of incredible to me that they can be such a library for skills and have not gotten a blue belt after 5 years. And it's probably not having the awareness of how to execute those things.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that most instructors, they take those things into account. The awareness of techniques. So they, I know me as a coach, I definitely do. And it's like, oh well, they've got the skills, they got the techniques of, of a purple belt, but they don't have the awareness, they don't have the experience level of it. So it's that's definitely something that plays a big role in how I, level people up. That's most instructors. They're looking for that awareness. They're looking for the ability to let something go to the next thing.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that makes me really prioritize this soft skill development for grappling is that it keeps you safe. Like, having a lot of awareness of what's going on with your body and theirs. I have saved my knees more times than I can count just by being aware of which direction they're going and where they might take a step.
Yeah.
And it's not even like because they're going to leg lock me. It's because people do crazy crap all the time. and if you're like, okay, this isn't fitting the pattern, and then you clue in a little bit and you pay attention, then you could keep yourself relatively injury free.
Yep.
Like all of my injuries are pretty much because I'm not taking care of my mobility, and it's not because some person did something that I wasn't expecting and I didn't react properly to it. At least after the first year. After the first year you get some of those because you don't have that experience-based like awareness of what's going on.
Yeah. It's spot on.
Yeah. So let's go away from that skill development and we'll talk about some of the mental pillars, which it's not talked about enough. I think that having a strong mental game that's coming from jiu-jitsu is one of the biggest carryovers we can have to the rest of our life because we are a very unresilient population nowadays. Like, we have very little mental resilience. There's not that much toughness. There's not a lot of stress tolerance. Like, so many people are on therapeutic drugs, and there's just, and then there's also like the respect and understanding of other people aspect, empathy, all of these like mental things that we can use jiu-jitsu and other martial arts where we're interacting with people in something that's tough to develop.
And if you're doing BJJ and you're not, physical, skill development, like this is one, like this is going to help you in so many other places. Obviously, I know skill development will too, and your physical pillars will too. But anytime you have the ability to kind of, as cliche as now, work on that garden, work on the garden in your head. You have, and this is there's not a lot of hard things. Like people go do retreats and stuff to get the benefits that you can get every day in jiu-jitsu. So really find those ways to lean into those the mental aspects of jiu-jitsu. It's shaped me as everything, and I try to find ways to apply the Brazilian jiu-jitsu philosophy, the idea, the essence to everything. I try to apply it to everything because of the mental benefits.
Yeah. So there are a few different things in that we put under this mental pillars thing. And the easiest one to point to is probably the mental toughness one, and stress tolerance, which are they're very interlinked, right? Now, most people don't do difficult things anymore because we don't have to. We live in an age of abundance and easy entertainment.
Something I found funny, even just from a U.S. standpoint, and if you go overseas, like every time I've been overseas, like I end up, my step counter times 100. Like it's nothing for you go and you see these other promoters, these other coaches, and they're like, oh yeah, the store's just down the corner, it's just a 28-minute walk, just a 20, so it's like, even just within the U.S., we're programmed so much softer. I don't know if I've ever walked anywhere that wasn't a block and a half or 2 blocks away, from where I'm at. And like, if I was in Europe where my house is, I would walk to Walmart, and nobody would ever think of doing that in the U.S. Yeah, so just something that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived in Boston and Cambridge, each of those cities, and like it was a little closer to how it is in Europe. Yeah. And I remember one time carrying 2 24 packs of water onto like a bus after walking like a few blocks. Then I get off the bus and I'm walking for probably a quarter mile.
Okay,
with
good.
These two.
Well, good.
That's like chump change to people overseas.
Yeah,
like,
no.
It's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, maybe you should have like something where you could attach it to your back, but so you could carry 4 of them, right? So
it's unreal.
Yeah, like.
And I guess me being, I guess you grew up in a city, and you've experienced that a little bit.
Yeah, in my 20s, I was in there.
But I've never walked anywhere.
Yeah, you don't do that in most places in the U.S. But yeah, so like. Even just the passive toughness is pretty low in the West, especially in the U.S. And like the amount of times that you're made physically uncomfortable is damn near zero now.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that builds mental toughness more than being put into a very physically uncomfortable situation. Because that doesn't happen. We don't let our kids do anything that's like. Even remotely resembling horseplay.
Yeah.
It's just they don't get to do that. Like I was talking to my kiddo the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, we were playing freeze tag, and then the teacher said we can't even touch each other." And I was like, "That is sad. Freeze tag should not be one of those things. Like they weren't like getting in a circle and then cheering each other on for like a schoolyard fight. They're playing freeze tag." Right. So, yeah, we're missing some of the physical opportunities to develop some mental toughness. And jiu-jitsu will put you in a lot of those situations where you're at a fitness disadvantage, a strength disadvantage, a mobility disadvantage. Like, I can't think of anything that's a more humbling experience for like a large middle-aged man than having some like 120-pound woman tool you up, right? So
big old bite of that humble pie.
Yeah. So, like,
you need it.
Yeah, you get to face the hard things, and then it just helps you across the board face hard things in the future.
Better believe it. I think one of my when you go with somebody good, you've got somebody that's equal skill. It's funny. You got a 5-minute round. 4.5 minutes of that round, it's probably pretty even. And it's like that's where you really see that mental toughness and that endures in that last 30 seconds, because usually that's where the submission comes. That's where the finish comes. That's where you win the sweep, or that's where you get off bottom and get back on top and secure your position. It's always in that last 30 seconds, and that's where I really try to lean in. It's like, oh, now the going gets tough. Let's really put our head down.
Yeah, and if you've been developing your physical pillars, that's where you get it.
And if you haven't, then you work on your mental toughness.
Yeah, then you work on you get one or the other, guys. One or the other.
You better be mentally tough if you're not physical.
Yeah,
that's good.
And so mental toughness and stress tolerance. It's understandable why that would happen. But another thing that's kind of missing again is as an opportunity is developing legitimate respect for other people and understanding of people from different backgrounds than your own. And that I categorize that under mental, because mental and social to me are so friggin' close. And having that attitude of respect towards your peers that are, at different skill levels from different walks of life, and understanding these people and getting to know them is really good for your mental capacity and mental health, because you get to see the world through a bunch of different lenses that you wouldn't normally be able to.
And that's a big staple, the respect and the understanding of people, and that's a big staple just in martial arts in general. One of my favorite comments, I got chills because I love it. One of my favorite comments I get, and I know that I'm kind of, and hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm giving myself a pat on the back, but it's like one of the times where okay, I know I'm doing the right things. When somebody's like, oh, you must do martial arts. You must be a martial artist. Like, you must do martial arts. Like, my funny was when they asked if I do karate, but, but it's like they just kind of look at me and they're like, oh, man, you must do martial arts. Like, what do you do? Like, it's always kind of like an affirming thing. It's okay. Like, you can, I am displaying the respect and understanding of people. I had somebody the other day said, you could talk and be friends with everybody and anybody. And it's funny, that's that respect and understanding of people.
Yeah. Super important. Manners, respect, all of those things kind of get wrapped into the whole being a good martial artist thing, right?
Yeah. And you're working on those things under, again, stressful environment. Not under the perky good turn where you get to see somebody for 30 minutes and you're trying to put on your best face. No, this is actually where that's an hour, and at some point in this hour you're going to be really tired. At some point in this hour your wall is going to come down. And at some point in this hour, you're going to be able to work on the true things you need to work on, not that wall, because the wall doesn't exist after your second 5-minute round. There's not this is who I am. This is it, and it really shines through. So,
yeah, and you might have to be respectful and friendly to someone who just beat your ass.
Or on the other side, be respectful and friendly to someone that you just beat their ass.
Yeah. Yep.
And show them genuine compassion. Yep. Let them know that, man, I'm not sorry.
See, you can tell who's getting their ass beat and who's beating asses.
I promise. I told one of the kids this the other day, like, man, Coach Campbell, I watched you roll. How many times did you tap them? I was like, I don't know. And I was like, listen, I can promise you, I have been tapped more. I have been tapped more than everyone in the room. Everyone in the room.
Yeah.
How many times have you genuinely rolled people and allowed people to get stuff? Allowed them to get stuff. And then they got it. So I had to tap. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about anybody. If we work on a move and I give John Joe Jingleheimer Smith, who came in class for the first day, his trial class, and he learned the proper steps to a triangle, if he does those proper steps, I get tapped. Yeah. So I've been tapped. I've had my ass kicked more than so. Yeah, I promise.
Okay. Well yeah, but still, what I said's real. What I said's real. Anyway.
No, totally understand. Yeah, you got to be nice to people after you kick their butts too. I'm good at that.
Not me. Anyway.
What do you do when you kick somebody's butt? You just stare at them.
No, I just follow it up with a mother's milk after the tap has happened. Anyway, and on that note, yeah, exactly. And
they were talking. I heard a little clip talking about it. They were talking. It was like it's worse than waterboarding. Like, yeah, because it's,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I started thinking about it like that. And it was like,
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
yeah, sorry.
I'm thinking about one of you. I'm looking directly in the eye.
He wants to.
That you motherfucker. Anyway. All right. So anyway, let's wrap it up. We hope that you like got something out of this. Don't like there's a lot of different things that are pillars of being good at martial arts and life. So go out and like hopefully you have some things to
Approach
consider.
it that way, though.
Yeah.
And that's really what we get. Approach it in the way like you're, from a viewpoint of a martial artist. And I love the competent because I do know some people that are martial artists, but I don't know if they just kind of live the life. Competent is you have the ability to help people. You have the ability to show. You have the ability to display, to answer questions. To help guide people along. So, if you're doing jiu-jitsu as a hobby, if you're, man, let it kind of shape it. Let it kind of shape you. You got a couple different ways, and really lean into it. Definitely. Sorry, that's the closing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you in the next one.